like the Tristan Lees, the Jeff Cavaliers, who their body fats are really low. But I would argue that if they allowed their body fats to go a bit higher, they would probably put on more muscle. So just because they look amazing and they're shredded doesn't mean they couldn't look more amazing with more body fat.
100%.
And a side note, I see a lot of times bodybuilders, they're posting, you have to get fluffy in the off season, eat big to get big, fluffy, but then they show themselves and I'm seeing 12 to 15%. And so people say, well, Coach Greg, you're wrong. They're bulking. I'm like, but they just finished a show at 4 or 5% body fat. It's not realistically, they're not going to maintain that. So they're then eating more calories. All the pros, anyone, they eat more, they're bulking, and then they're going to hold that. And then a show comes around, then they're going to cut. So for me, bulk and cut makes 100% sense. If you are competing in something, you're doing photo shoots, or you just want to at some point in the year be leaner. Maybe it's the summer. Summer, you want that 9% six pack for the beach. After that, I don't. Well, go to 9% for the summer, then get up to 15% in the off season, maintain from that. Because if you gain too much fat, then you have to cut that much more. So although I do agree, you're going to build more muscle when you're bulking. It's easier. You're eating more. You're just in a more anabolic state. But then if you have to cut for 16 weeks, like I saw Brandon Harding, he was about 18% body fat. And he's cutting 18 to 2,400 calories. He's 6'1", 200. Well, he's under 200 pounds now, but he's 245 in the offseason. You're starting to lose muscle. That's a starvation diet. So to me, I would have rather seen him stay at a slightly leaner level in the offseason, which allows him to be closer to stage weight. So would you say that makes sense?
There's a balance there. It makes a ton of sense. People have trouble sometimes with moderation, and they want to go for extremes. Oh, you got someone back there asking? No, you're good.
We're good.
A mysterious blonde woman appeared in the back. So
might be my girlfriend.
Oh, there you go.
Blonde woman.
Other mysterious blonde woman.
There's a few. There's a chef here as well. But
there she is again. She just peeked back.
Babe, come say hi. Are you there? I'm here. Oh, it's another chef. I got tons of chefs here.
That's awesome.
I eat a lot, more than people think.
There you go. So I think a lot of people are really just not satisfied with having some parameters. You say, hey, like if you're leaner than 8% body fat, most of the time, you're not going to gain a ton of muscle. If you're fatter than 20%, there are some trade-offs there. I think a lot of people just want like this open-ended thing where it's just like, fuck it off season, bro, gain as much as you can, get fat. And they're like, yay, but it doesn't quite work like that.
Yeah.
That moderation people struggle with sometimes.
Yeah. It's that excuse to be able to eat what you want, which I have another question, and it's perfect point for this. It's what is the best body fat percentage to be at to build muscle? So is there like a certain body fat percentage? Because I, from firsthand experience, cannot build muscle under 8%. I can't train hard. I lose my energy. I feel like garbage. Right now, I'm just under that 9% range, and I feel good. I have energy to train, normal sex drive. I feel like I'm not starving all the time. It's that point where I can go in the gym and train harder than last time. When I'm dieting for a show, it is a nightmare. When I'm a month out from a show, I can't build muscle. So if I'm trying to maintain too lean a physique, it's a no-win for me. Does everyone have a certain percent? Like for me, I say 9. For you, maybe it's 29. Like, is there a percent? Do we know that? Is there any science to back up any of these things? Is there a certain range for people?
It's a great question. So if anyone wants the super sciencey version of what I'm about to say, because I'll keep it a little bit simple.
I want it. Also, if they don't understand, we can dumb it down after.
So we actually had a round table on Jeff Nippard's channel with myself, Menno Henselmans, Eric Trexler, and Greg Knuckles. And we talked about all sort of the very deep scientific controversy about what the body fat range is at which it's best to build muscle. And there's still some mystery to it. Where there's not a whole lot of mystery is for most people, we'll just talk about males specifically. The female,
for most people, that would be
7% more or something. Anything below 10% is questionable / not a good idea. So if you're below 10% fat, like there's literally been several studies of contest bodybuilders where they do a show, they're like right around 5%-ish on average after a show, and then they bulk until they reach 10% plus, and they try to measure how much muscle they gained, and the average is they didn't gain any muscle. So So
now, is that
literally-
because of the declining testosterone levels from the diet, or is that for like enhanced athletes, natural athletes? So a lot of people watching this are going to be natural. Like, does it apply to both natural and enhanced?
It applies less to enhanced, but still applies to enhanced. Because as you well know, the folks in this Zoom meeting that have been enhanced, you can be enhanced all you want. If you're at 7% body fat, you still feel like shit. Your training still is awful. And you probably can put on some muscle, but not nearly as much as if you just stop being ultra lean. Because when you're ultra lean, your body's kind of in a fight or flight state of like, build muscle. I'm trying to fucking stay alive over here. And it prioritizes fat building to just get you back to normal. And for natty people, there's definitely a testosterone issue. Like their testosterone doesn't really get back to normal until they get above 10% or so, but that's not the only issue. There's other issues at play. So I would say that for both enhanced and natty, it's a good bet to at least not be close to 5%. Okay, maybe 9%, 8%, there's some wiggle room, but like just be comfortably just at 10% or above for most people. Now, that's not all people. Some people at around 10%, their energy levels still suck and their, sleep's still bad. So I would say if the following is true, you're probably in a good place to build muscle. Your sex drive is good. Your daily energy levels are good. You're having high quality workouts. You know those kinds of workouts where you go in the gym, you're like, I'm fucking Superman. I can break the fucking Smith machine. Like if you're not having workouts like that, you're probably not building the most muscle that you can if you're getting stronger over time. So if you're actually able to pull off harder than last time in real life, like you did 15 reps of leg press at 500 pounds last week. This week you did 17. Next week you did 18, then 20, then so on and so forth. If you're not getting stronger over time, I don't know where you think that muscle is being added because it's probably not. And lastly, are you able to sleep really, really well? Because that low body fat dieting phase, you wake up in the middle of the night, you're like, cookies, brownies, and your girlfriend's like, what? Nothing. I was having a nightmare again. So that's not the optimal way to do things. If your sleep is good, your training energy is high, you have high quality workouts, your sex drive is good, you're golden. Some people can pull that off at 8 or 9%. Pretty few. Some people, most probably between 10 and 20% is where they really feel their swag. A lot of people can build tons of muscle. Oh my God, you have a French bulldog. My wife.
That's Chris's. There's several dogs here and cats. There's a zoo here. I think I have 14 animals in the house right now. There's tons.
So another question is, what about north of 20% fat? And there's some literature on that. And believe it or not, it seems that between 20 and 25 to even 30% fat, most people can build a lot of muscle. And it doesn't seem to be impacted a whole lot because some people say above 20%, you're just adding fat. Like that's probably not true. You probably can build plenty of muscle. The question is at what cost? First of all, if you're a competitive bodybuilder, why the fuck are you over 20%? What kind of diet is that going to be to get you back to 15? A 5-year fucking long diet? Fuck that. And then the other issue is at what expense to health? For naturals that are young, it's not a huge expense to health, but you get extra skin and extra fat cells. Then fat cells just shrink. They don't actually go away ever. So it becomes more difficult to diet. Your body gets primed for fat regain. It's not good for your long-term health. It feels like shit. There's a training quality problem. So for example, if you're 27% fat, there are workouts in which your local muscles aren't being driven close to failure. It's your cardiovascular fatigue stops you dead in your tracks. Like you're squatting for sets of 10 and you stop at rep number 7. And your friends are like, oh man, your quads really hit. You're like, no, I can't breathe. And it's like, right. Okay, that's a problem. You should be stopping because your quads are stopping you because then they get the best workout, not because your cardiovascular system is. So people will say like, I fucking bulked to 30%. Like, look, if you can perform at high level at 30%, slow clap, you're the fucking shit. Most people can't do that. So anything above 20% to 25%, I start seeing more trade-offs than benefits. And I say it's probably not the best idea in the world. Outside of some special circumstances, for most people, between 10% and 20% is what I consider my golden zone. I think the science supports that very well. Can you, in some situations, build muscle well between 5% and 10%? Yes, it's unlikely. Can you build a decent amount of muscle between 20% and 30%? Yes, but at the cost of all kinds of nasty shit. And lastly, if you are enhanced, especially if you're taking things like growth hormone, being above 20% fat is a really terrible idea because your glucose dynamics, your blood sugar handling is going straight to the shitter. You're essentially going to be pre-diabetic or temporarily diabetic for like that entire time. Do not do that. There are bodybuilding competitors that are now diabetic forever because of some shit they did like that. So if you're on especially peptides, staying below 15 to 17% fat at all times is a really good idea.
Yeah. And I think just to add, we all know, we see this certain people like the Tristan Lees, the Jeff Cavaliers, who their body fats are really low. But I would argue that if they allowed their body fats to go a bit higher, they would probably put on more muscle. So just because they look amazing and they're shredded doesn't mean they couldn't look more amazing with more body fat.
100%. And that's, again, back to what we talked about earlier, short-term trade-offs for long-term gains. You might have to not look your best for 6 months, but then you put on 5 pounds of muscle. And like, I remember like when I was growing up, my parents would, when I would get fatter in my off seasons, my parents are like, oh, you know, I wish, and they wouldn't say this like with bad blood. They were just kind of fucking around, but they were like, I wish you kind of looked like you do close to the show all the time. And I had to explain to them, like, yeah, if I could do that, but then I would just stay the same size. And back then I was like, you know, like probably like 200 lean or something. Now I'm like 250 with veins and shit like that. How did I get there? By getting to a higher percent body fat when I bulk, plain and simple.
Yeah. So I think to summarize, somewhere between 10 and 20% is probably where you need to be. And how do you know if you're too low? No sex drive, not sleeping well, being overly hungry, and not able to train harder than last time in the gym, not able to get those great workouts. And that's what I tell all my clients, literally, like, we're on the same page exactly. And for me, I said, I'm going to try, because just for what I do in bike racing, I need to be lighter. I'm going to keep the lowest body fat percentage that I have, that I can answer yes to all those questions. So if I start saying, no, the workouts are suffering, I'm too lean, and it's just too bad. And for everyone, that number is going to be different. So you wish you had the genetics, you picked the right parents, and maybe it's 10%. If it's not, it might be 15, 20, and sometimes even higher.
100%.
All right.